You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Chris, the Herons are back.
Welcome to episode number 1 of the episode number 50, episode number 98 of episode number 145 of the Battered Herons podcast.
You know who else is back? Aliens.
Right now with the whole Messi conspiracy, it's set up for him. It's tiring to hear the same garbage and people whining.
Suarez is here. That means I'm here. You're gonna have to deal with
Let
it.
it soak
and
in,
if you don't
baby.
if you don't like it, I'm gonna start fighting people, bro.
I think he deserves, to be battered.
I've said worse
might have
things
just-
on the pitch. I've said worse things on the pitch. I mean,
145, this guy. And that's it.
Not gonna lie to you, Solana, you're probably better off just not saying anything. He said we suck without Messi.
Yeah, we suck without Messi. Like, what?
and happy 200.
We've done this 200 times, Chris.
I mean, after that introduction, I'm doing terrible. I didn't know that, but
What a disaster. This show's just a disaster. I'm not even gonna sign out.
And while you're at it, get that thumb, put it to work, like and subscribe.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Solana, the Herons are back.
Welcome everybody to episode number 213 of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada. Alongside me, as always, Mr. Daniel Solana for some Cafecito with the Herons. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. I don't have my cafecito though. I have, my my tumbler. So we'll have people start guessing what's in there, man. I'm going on.
That's the thing.
I'm going
With
on
the tumbler,
vacation.
you never know.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to the game today, so who knows? I might start early. I might hit the pub early today. We'll see.
Well, we usually come on Tuesdays at 9:00 at night, but because Solana is flying out to Charlotte because he has the money to afford to go to many Copa America games, he will be out there tomorrow. So we decided to start this a little early. Another Cafecito with the Herons. We did one last week. Figure we do one this week. Let's get into it. Before we start talking Copa America, a couple housekeeping things. I don't know if you heard, Solana, but they said that we are going to get first right of refusal for playoff games, meaning season ticket holders get to purchase their own seats once the playoffs start, which is why I really want to push. Obviously, not me personally. I have nothing to do with it, but I really hope that they get the supporter shield or at least end up with the best record in the Eastern Conference. What do you think about us finally getting to go to games for season ticket holders and purchase our own tickets?
I mean, it's about time, right? I think in every single franchise in America, sporting franchise in America, season ticket holders are allowed to buy their own seats for the playoffs. So the fact that it wasn't being done before is absolutely ridiculous. Season ticket holders should always be able to buy their own seat for any event in that stadium, at least for any soccer event at Chase Stadium. Other events, concerts, stuff like that, I can understand. But at least for the soccer games, for Inter Miami games, season ticket holders should always have first right of refusal of their seats, especially for playoffs and definitely for Leagues Cup, for all those games. So, I was always against Inter Miami doing that to the fans. And I know you've complained in the past, and Chris as well. You've not gone to some of those games where you have to purchase the extra tickets because you purposely cannot get your own seat and you like to sit in your seat. I'm the same way at the Heat games. I love sitting in 115. Somebody might give me courtside seats, and I mean, I'd probably say yes.
Courtside seats. You might want to say yes, yeah.
But if somebody gives me, like any other section, I like sitting in my section, man. I like sitting around the people that I'm with, So I think that's great, dude. I'm happy for you, and happy for the fans because it's definitely, dude. It happens in every other franchise. I mean, it's about time.
And it was Champions Cup this year that I decided not to go because they didn't give it to. But because my thing is, even if you want to sell my ticket for $1,000, all right, I can't afford it, I won't buy it. But give me the option. Maybe I will. Like, it's not like they're making more money. I'm not telling them to sell it to me for a lower price. I'm just telling them to give me the opportunity to buy before somebody else. That's it. That's all I'm asking. And I think that's all anybody wants. But yes, so very awesome that we're finally going to get that, especially for the playoffs, because we want to see, especially a final. We want to see a final in the playoffs. And Adarsh here, now I need the most loyal subscriber tag. Adarsh, shout out to you for joining us. I don't know from where. You know what? I didn't do a very good job of promoting that we were going to come on today this early. So, but shout out to you, Adarsh, for hitting for joining us from wherever you are. I'm not sure where Darsh is from. All right. So let's see. And now transfer windows. We got a game next Wednesday against Toronto at home. Now, the very next day, July 18th, the transfer window opens. Now, the thing about next week that's interesting is that not only the transfer window opens on Thursday, but Copa America ends on Sunday. And I think, and the Euros also. And I think a lot of the rumors are really going to start circulating that very next day, that Monday. Now that all the summer competitions are done, what do you think we're going to see in the transfer window? Anything that you think we might? I mean, Di Maria, I think, is the only big name that we're still linked to because at this point, Varane and Nacho are just about. It's not happening, basically.
Yeah, but I think, definitely Di Maria. We talked about it last night a little bit on Battered Herons in Espanol. My opinion was as soon as the Copa America is over for Argentina, those kind of conversations are probably going to start coming to light. And again, this is pure speculation. I don't have any inside information on that, just what everybody else has. But the one piece of information that I feel like that is key in all of this, we've mentioned it many times, is that Di Maria was between staying at where he currently is he's in Benfica, right?
Yep.
So he's either Benfica, Rosario Central, Inter Miami. Those were the three options that were laid on the table roughly a month ago. His family wants to move to the United States. His boyhood dream club is Rosario Central. He was going to go back, play Copa Libertadores. They have now been eliminated from Copa Libertadores. So that's why the speculation of him coming earlier rather than later this year has kind of ramped up. So that's why I think as soon as Argentina finishes Copa America, that will probably get lined up. Yeah, I saw that Besiktas over in Turkey also wants him, but from my understanding, the player is not interested in living there. So unless it's some crazy sum of money that he's going to get from the Turkish team, again, I think he's ready to come play with Inter, Miami, Messi, and his friends.
I think at a certain age, every player, especially when they have a family, I think that the living situation holds a lot of weight also, because at that point you're trying to find a good place for your family, a good place of comfort. When you're younger, I think you're okay with going anywhere as long as you get your name out there. But once you're an established person that's probably on the latter end of the career, or maybe when you make that last stop, I think where you live is the most important part. And I think Di Maria is destined to be here. It almost feels like the Luis Suarez thing, where you heard it so much, you're like, it's gonna happen. We just don't know when. I think that's the same along the same lines that we're here with Di Maria. I think he's gonna be here. Is it gonna be now or January? I don't know, but I think it's almost like a foregone conclusion that he's gonna be here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the questions are: is it going to be summer transfer window, winter transfer window? That's question number one. And question number two is he going to end up taking that third DP spot that Campana is currently taking up? And is Campana going to be bought down? Those are to me the questions. Is he going to be a DP or is he going to come for less? Question number one. Question number two: is it going to be in now or is it going to be in 6 months? Those are the two big questions. But there's a lot of big names from Europe that are rumored to be coming over this transfer window. I mean, you've got names like Antoine Griezmann. You've got names like Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, no light names here.
But De Bruyne is probably going to Saudi. He admitted it. He's like, I'm chasing the money.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is, I mean, you mentioned both Euros and Copa, and on Sunday, I'm thinking Monday's going to be like NBA free agency. You know what I mean? Like you wait for 6 p.m. to come or whatever, and then you get all the news starting to come, even though free agency doesn't start till a week later. I feel like that's what Monday's going to be like, or maybe even Tuesday. Maybe on Monday you get all the celebrations and stuff like that and whatever. But then sometime Monday or Tuesday, you're going to start hearing all the rumors going crazy. And again, with all the names rumored to be free agents this year, especially from Europe, it's gonna be pretty crazy, man. It's gonna be, I kind of wish Adrian Wojnarowski were reporting soccer. I know we got Fabrizio Romano, but I don't know, man. I like Woj. I'd love to get a Woj on that, Monday morning.
Well, I will, and something that I've always said, and no slide at Fabricio and everybody, and shout out to Peaches, loves the time slot. That they're yes, everybody that watches us overseas for sure is a convenient time, and shout out to Lamar. Good morning. I feel like that's the one thing that the football world lacks. Everybody can say Fabricio is the guy. I'm sorry, I feel like he misses so much. Like, how do you miss on the Messi front, like the biggest player in history, and how many times did he strike out on that? He said that he had already agreed to go back to Barcelona back right after the World Cup. Then he said that he was going to go and stay in PSG. Like, he's missed so much with so many things. I feel like the soccer world is the absolute worst when it comes to transfer rumors. Like Mbappe, how many times did he agree to go to Real Madrid over the last 4 years? Like, it was a done deal. It was agreed upon. Like, I feel like it's such a they do such a horrible job. And I guess it's a worldwide, so it's a little harder to get a grasp on everything than like it is in the NBA, where it's only like 30 teams or whatever. But they do such a crap job. They really do need a Woj out there.
I agree. I mean, he does a decent job with the European signings, but yeah, absolutely. You know, I feel like he gets the word when it's done. He doesn't have like the rumors of where everybody's going. But also, I think that I don't know. You know, again, I'm not in that agent world in soccer, nor do I know what it's like. But I read about all the stories. You know, the Jorge Mendez's, who represent some of the big players, and some other agents that are big out there. And dude, there's a lot of slimy ass, kind of a snake people out there that
like what Peaches is saying,
feed you crap.
Peaches is saying it here. Peaches is saying Messi wanted to go back to Barca, but there was no money, and I think some agents leak things to push up prices and interest. Yeah, and some of those reporters kind of bite on it. So for sure, I think Peaches has a point there. All right, well, the transfer window's coming. Real quick, Angel Di Maria, if he were to come, which we think he is, and I think there's a chance he comes in the summer, do you think he comes as a starter, or do you think he is okay coming off the bench? He started most games. Yeah,
he's starting.
Okay, so Robert Taylor is screwed again.
Yes, but I mean, I feel bad for Robert Taylor, but isn't he somebody who you feel? I know he's a fan favorite. Don't you feel like Inter Miami could get a haul for someone like him, or a good player back, or some like? I don't think they could just get an international slot like they've done with other players in the past. Like, I don't think that's what they're after.
You would
if
hope
they're going
that they
to trade
get more
Taylor. That's what I'm saying. Now, we've talked about this a lot over the entire season. You know, Taylor's going to be a free agent next year. You would essentially lose him, and he's on a team-friendly contract. He's going to want a lot more, and he's proven that he should be making a lot more than what he's currently making. So, kind of, looking at it in basketball terms, because we do a basketball show as well, would you want to lose him for nothing at the end of the season? Because loyalty only goes so far in this sport. And I think Taylor's proven he can make some bread in the league. So I think he could, we should get somebody for him is what I'm saying.
Well, look, and the breaking down Robert Taylor specifically, like you said, his contract is up at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, if I was Robert Taylor, I probably wouldn't resign here. Not because I don't like the team or the fan base or playing with Messi. It's because it's so on and off with that. And then the fact that Messi just keeps bringing his friends, which as a fan, I'm happy because I love getting quality players. But for Robert Taylor, I think it sucks for him because, like, Di Maria comes. I understand that Di Maria starts. Di Maria's a baller. But I think it sucks for Robert Taylor. He misses out again. So I'm with you. I think that maybe it is best for him to leave, which I don't want him to. Again, I've always said, to me, he's the best Inter Miami player not named Messi in the club's short history. And like you said, contract friendly. You know how much money do you think, if you had to take a guess, how much money he's making this year?
Less than $300,000. I think it's like 100 and something.
No. It's more than that, but it is substantially low. He's making $326,000 this year. When you're talking about professional athletes in the United States, that number is wildly low.
And when you're talking about the value that he gives the team whenever he's on the pitch, he's worth more than $326,000.
And
The bangers
Tommy
that he's
won-
made. Yeah.
No, he's worth. I think that I could see a team putting a DP contract on him, like one of those teams that won't get a big start, like Real Salt Lake is doing decent this year, but like one of those teams that just have a hard time finding a big name from overseas. You could give him a DP contract, and I think that he'd be worth it. And Tommy one time says people aren't going to bend over to help Miami. The return will be minimal for an expiring contract. I mean, that's a great point also. An international slot for 11, because remember, there's 11 games left in the playoffs in the regular season at this point, if you don't count the 2 games coming up. So, I mean, that's a good point also by Tommy.
It is a good point, but big but here. He says nobody's going to bend over to help Miami, but the entire MLS has already bent over and taken it for Miami. Okay, so don't tell me that they're not going to do that. Now, everybody thought that, nobody would, again, you're saying nobody would help Miami, but look who Miami has done trades with this year. Cincinnati in first place in the league. They traded DeAndre Yedlin there. Why would they want to do business with Miami? Who knows? But they did it. So,
but that was before they were both top of the league. Like that was really early in the season.
It was really early, but they were they're the existing Supporter Shield champions, the current Supporter Shield champions, and Inter Miami had Messi and friends and all that. There was a lot of talk, so you knew what the stakes are. So it's weird to already be trading within your conference.
And remember, you and I both heard, and then we had Justin from Cincinnati last week also confirmed that he also heard over there that Inter Miami and Cincinnati were having conversations last month about a said Miles Robinson and possibly a Robert Taylor. And that trade would make sense because if we have Di Maria, well, actually it makes sense for us. It no longer makes sense to them because they lost 2 center backs. So they're not going to give up on Miles Robinson at this point. But now that I think about it, it did make sense at one point because they're both expiring contracts. So
yes, but it wouldn't even make sense anymore to get Miles Robinson because he got called up to the U23 to the Olympic roster. So yeah. Inter Miami's already been confirmed. Ben Krem is going to be gone for the month of Leagues Cup, and Diego Gomez will also be gone. 2 key players in the midfield. So if you were to trade and get rid of a Toto Aviles, or you were to get rid of a Taylor for a Miles Robinson, he's gone for a month. What's the point of that trade? So I don't think trade makes any more sense.
I mean, you still have September, October, November, which are the biggest months of the year.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do for a month with Busquets and Kristoff back there?
Well, remember that even if you don't trade for Miles Robinson, you still have Busquets and Kristoff back there because Robert Taylor's not playing that position.
I know,
but again, that's not happening anymore.
But after what you just saw 3 days ago with that center back pairing.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible.
I don't think you can get rid of Toto Aviles until either Ryan Saylor shows up and decides to, Tata decides that he can magically start playing the position again, or you bring in another center back. You cannot get rid of Toto Aviles because as hot and cold as he's been all season, he's probably your best center back today, just based off of the fact that he can run faster than anybody else in that back line.
just because of that.
Exactly.
You know what? I think Toto Aviles is a good player. The thing with Toto is that he and I hate calling him Toto. I don't understand has somebody asked him how he got that nickname?
It's a very common nickname in South America. My dad's best friend, his brother's nickname is Toto also. So it's just okay. A very
can I ask you?
Nickname.
So in Uruguay and Argentina, does Toto have the same meaning that it does in Colombia?
No.
Okay, it's a different meaning.
Yeah,
because it's so weird saying that repeatedly, and for those of you who don't know, Toto, for me, is a woman's private part. So it's really weird just randomly calling him that all the time. And I've gotten accustomed to it. At first, I had a really hard time doing it. Now I've gotten accustomed to it, but it's really weird. All right. And real quick, Mikhail Das says hi to the Uruguayo. Abrazo grande. So thank you for joining us early in the morning for some cafecito. And then and they also said that it is very common. I have a friend named Toto. I'm telling you, I've never said that word so much in my life. All right, so let's move on here. Like you were bringing it up, the Olympics. We are missing Kremaki. We are missing Diego Gomez. So I have two questions for you. One, do you think this is going to affect us? Man, this whole thumbs up thing is weird. Do you think it's going to affect us in the Leagues Cup, considering the players that we're getting back after Copa America and players coming back from injury? So do you think that's going to affect our chances at the Leagues Cup? And second, do you watch the Olympic soccer? Because I know there's a lot of people that told me that they do not. So I'm kind of curious to you, and I asked the chat, do you guys actually watch the Olympic soccer? I will be watching it, and especially the women's, because my daughter is just now really getting into soccer. She just turned 8, and now her interest is really like gone up a little bit.
Right.
So now she's asking me about like the women's league and stuff. And unfortunately, we still don't have one here in Miami, and I really don't want her to be an No.
Well, it's gonna be
the Fort Lauderdale one.
Yeah.
No. I want one in Miami. And I want to take her to Orlando to see some, because she's into Alex Morgan, obviously, because they promote her everywhere, and Sophia Smith and stuff. But I don't want her to become an Orlando Pride fan by like accident or something, So I really want a team down here. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
That's a great tangent to talk about, because I love talking about teams in certain cities and making sure that that you're not a fan of another city. It's a good it's a good conversation,
because those teams like San Diego, where Alex Morgan plays, they come and they play in Orlando. They already came. I already checked. Rose Lavelle in New York, they come down in September. I already checked. My daughter might want to go see her. Sophia Smith plays in Portland. They already came. She wants to see her. Trinity Rodman also. I think she comes down in October. So because she's starting to get to know these names, she wants to see them, and I want to take her. But when you go to a home stadium, you get caught up, right? You start getting caught up in the environment and stuff. And I really don't want her to root for the Orlando Pride. And so a little part of me is like, man, where's this news that I heard about last year about, hey, we want to bring a women's team to Miami? Like, give me some news. Like, give me the heads up that it's happening, because I can't hey, sorry, you can't root for this team. So just off on a tangent there, I really hope that they do something. But yes, back to the Olympics. I will be especially focusing in on the Women's Olympics.
Yeah, in terms of the Olympics and watching, I've always leaned more towards watching the women's side, just because they don't take a young team. I mean, for them, it's like a real tournament.
Yeah,
they're not taking U23s. So I've always leaned more towards watching, and of course, lean more towards watching the U.S. women's team, because they're usually always there and they're usually always winning. Uruguay doesn't have a great women's team. They're just getting started in that aspect. So I do watch. Now, do I watch the men's side? If Uruguay were there, or if there's some certain players that I would like to watch, yeah, I watch it. But Olympic soccer for me is not as entertaining as international soccer,
because it's not all the senior teams.
It doesn't matter, because I still love watching. Like, I loved watching the U20 World Cup. I watched not just Uruguay. I watched a lot of games because I love watching the youth. And
so why do you think that is then?
I don't know. I just don't feel like, I don't know why. Just the Olympics to me just don't feel like a real tournament anymore.
A lot of people feel that way though. That's what I was saying, and a lot of people don't watch it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll probably watch it, some of the games, especially to see, the U.S. and to see Diego Gomez with Paraguay. I really want to see him and see if he can get back to his form. But, talking about the Inter Miami front and the Olympics, and you asked at the beginning, what do I think about that we're going to be missing these two guys? That's going to be a really rough month, because those two guys, I think, are right now, at least in the last month or month and a half, that Gomez has been back. They've been our lungs in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Diego
Gomez has only been back for like 2 or 3 games though. But yeah,
2 games. Yeah. But I mean, you got to think about what he did before, and he was a lungs in the midfield.
For sure, 100%.
You take away Keremaski, who's a young guy and has been giving it his all, and he's, again, has he recouped the for the form that he showed last year? No, I don't think so. Is he getting there? Hell yeah. That goal over the weekend against Charlotte, I don't think his precision is there yet, but las ganas of playing are there. I mean, you can tell.
And he's box to box.
100%. I wish him luck. He didn't look that great playing for the U23 team earlier this summer when he got called up and he played the friendlies. But I wish him well because he's a local boy, and I want him to do well. And again, I think he could be one of Inter Miami's future stars if they continue that path with him. But yeah, it's gonna be a rough month, man. You're taking away the lungs in the midfield, man. You're gonna be left with you got Yannick Bright. You're gonna be back with Matias Rojas. But it's not the same as a Diego Gomez and a Keremaski. We'll see if Ruiz can step up while Keremaski's gone.
Radu says, I never watched the Olympics, and I don't have a proper reason for it either. And you know what? Solana said basically the same thing, and I've heard a few people say that they just don't feel it. And I've always thought that it's maybe because it's not the senior teams, right? It's the young guys, and you have to be, like, I guess, really a soccer enthusiast to want to watch the young guys and not the names. Or maybe it's because it's only like 2 countries per continent, maybe. I don't know. But and then Worldwide Steve says he will this year. I'll be watching it. And like I said, I'm going to be really focused on the women's because of my daughter. So, and it's in Paris. So I don't even know it's probably going to be like middle of the day, the games. So it should be interesting. But school starts up again. So it's going to be probably conflicting with there a little bit. All right.
That's all right.
And then
you can pull her out for the women's national team games. No worries. It's only the first couple weeks of school.
Remember, but I work also. I work at a school.
You bring her to your office and a little teacher planning time, and there you go, man. You get a little game time.
Yeah, well, I'll be watching it for sure. All right. Now, any more housekeeping on Inter Miami's front before we get into international soccer?
No, sir, because I do not even. We got into the game. The game over the weekend. In the Spanish show last night, I'm sure you guys talked it to death on the English show last night. So I think we can move on to some much more greener pastures. That 6-1 should be behind us already.
No. Moving forward, that we gotta bury the tape, as they say in football. Just bury the tape. All right. Before we get into Copa America, let's just I feel like we have to touch on Euros real quick. Obviously, it's the other big tournament in the world going on right now. The Euros, they're also in their semifinals. You got France and Spain kicking off very soon. I forget, is it the middle of the day? I forgot what time it is that they start. So you have France and Spain, and then you have England and the Netherlands. Now, I predicted a Spain-England final before the tournament got started, and I'm going to stick with that just because, I root for Spain. That's where my family's from. My grandparents, that is, are from there. So I carry a little bit of the Spanish with me. So, and then England, I kind of felt like they're going to sleep their way to the final. Everybody's criticizing how boring they've been and how in general, the tournament, they've said that it's boring. I don't think it's been boring. Maybe not as aggressive and exciting as Copa America, but I don't think it's been boring. But I'm going to stick with my England-Spain final. What have you thought about the Euro so far and all the criticism that they've gotten for it being boring?
I agree with the criticism. I think they've been awful. Other than a couple of games where you've had some really good back and forth, they've been absolutely terrible. Look at the stats. I know you're a stats guy, Danny. I want to get into the stats. The leading goal scorers in the tournament right now are three players. Two of them aren't even in the tournament anymore. One guy's from Georgia, the other guy's from Slovakia, and the leader is Cody Gakpo from the Netherlands, and they've all got 3 goals. What is that? What is that?
And they played an extra game because they played an extra game because they had an extra round in the knockouts.
That's right. So again, I'm just, to me, it hasn't been the Euros of the past. I feel like the European player has become, and this is a word in Spanish, and I don't know how to mention it in English, but have they become pecho frios? They don't feel the shirt like the South American players do. There was a lot of talk about the Uruguay-Brazil game and how it was an ugly, dirty, just overall bad game. I would rather watch that Uruguay-Brazil game. Of course, I have a bias, but taking my bias out, I'd rather watch that than watch that Spain-Germany game from the other day that was absolutely awful. I mean, literally, it's what the Euros has become, especially in the knockout stages, is let's play defense and pass the ball in our own half as long as we can until somebody makes a mistake, and then we might get a goal. And that to me is just not soccer.
Celine wants a rematch of the 2010 World Cup, Spain-Netherlands as the final.
Honestly, if Netherlands makes the finals, let's talk about how they got there. They got there as a third place team, okay, as a best third place team. And if you go back to what they did, I think I think they won one game or they tied one game.
I have to go back and check.
I'm going back to check right now for you. Don't worry, but okay. I have it up right here. But yeah, I'm looking at what they did in the tournament, and dude, they didn't do anything in the tournament. So it's like, are you kidding me? Like, what is it that like they don't deserve to be in the finals? In the group stage, they beat Poland 2-1. They tied France 0-0, and they lost to Austria 3-2. To me, Austria looked like the better side than Netherlands. Netherlands just got a really lucky draw. They got to play Romania in the round of 16, which is an absolute joke. And then they played Turkey to get it right. And again, they were down and they came back and won. But to me, neither Netherlands nor England deserve to be in the semifinal. Both teams have not played well. And to me, it's the level has just gone down overall.
And that group that England was in, I remember in the group stages, I think it was Group C.
Mm-hmm.
I think all four teams combined in the group stage for like 6 or 7 goals. Like, it was a bore fest. Like, it was really bad to watch, especially that group specifically. That was a tough watch.
I mean, no doubt. You look at England, right? You look at England, and these are their listen to their Euro Cup 1-0, 1-1, 0-0, 2-1. 1-1. It's coming home, baby. Harry Kane, baby, it's coming home. Get out of here, bro. You don't deserve to win if you're playing like
Jason.
that. Like, yeah. It's just I don't know, man. Again, I know that there's been a lot of talk about both tournaments. Alexi Lalas has talked about it. Some other folks have come out to talk about the Euros. I've been vocal myself on social media, and again, I think the Copa has been a lot more entertaining than the Euros. I'd rather watch two teams kick each other's asses in terms of, that Chile-Peru game, which was absolutely boring, was a lot more entertaining than, some of these games that have been in the Euro Cup.
Somebody in the chat said, and I lost the comment. I apologize, whoever said it, that the big teams are playing it safe. And it kind of does feel like that. Like, they're just touching the ball around and they're playing it safe because they don't want to lose. They're playing not to lose rather than to win. So I agree with that. Whereas in the Copa America, it's been a lot more. I don't know if aggressive is the word, but you definitely see a lot more. They're not playing it safe. They're not playing it safe unless they're like Bolivia, for example, because Bolivia sucks. So they try to do the only thing that they can and try to find a way to win. But yeah, I think that saying that the Euros have been extremely boring. I mean, I enjoy watching football, so maybe it's hard for me to get bored watching football. But I haven't think that they're that bad. Now, if I compare it, how entertained I am when I compare it to when I watch Copa America games, yeah, I agree. I am much more entertained watching Copa America games, but I haven't think that's been that bad. Now, the whole Southgate thing with England, I do think they're going to beat the Netherlands. I think they're going to bore their way to another victory. Now, I've always wondered why England always gets so hyped up, because I feel like they just never perform to the level. And tell me if you think that I'm on the money with why I think that they get so hyped up, even though I don't feel like they maybe deserve it. I think that it might be, and maybe this is a common thought, and I just haven't heard anybody say it, but it has to be because the EPL is obviously the most popular league in the world. So every single name from top to bottom you recognize.
Yes and
Because
no.
you recognize all of them because you watch the English Premier League. Just the majority of them all play in the EPL, right? Jude Bellingham played at Dortmund, now plays at Real Madrid, but the majority, you from top to bottom, and even on the bench, you recognize all the names because you watch the EPL on a weekly basis, and you don't get that with the majority of other teams. You recognize a lot of the names, but not all of them, and I think that's why they're always so overrated.
100% it could be. I mean, I think it also has to do with the British media, right? The English media is very, very, I guess, has a stronghold on the football world, and I don't know if respect is the right word, that folks respect it, but folks listen to the English media a lot, and again, they're always overrated. It's always coming home at every tournament, yet they've only won one World Cup. They've never won a Euro Cup. So how could it be coming home? And the only
Because they
one they
invented
won,
the sport.
They invented the sport, and then Uruguay, wrote its history. That's the truth. So
Well, we can get into that with the Uruguay, where they played the whole tournament was like 3 teams. The first World Cup.
It's all good. It wasn't even a World Cup; it was the Olympics. So, get it right. The first 2 World Championships were Olympic trophies.
Olympics. And you don't even like watching the Olympics. Look at that.
Yeah, but that's what was recognized as the World Cup, Championship at that point. There was no tournament established, so you got to take it for what it's worth. But again, the tournament from back then. Again, if you're talking about this was worth the World Cup, then of course I'm watching the Olympics. But it's just for some gold medals. Now, when I believe it was Messi went to the Olympics one year with Agüero, they had a team. I watched that year. That was a year that they were, I think, U20s. I mean, that was badass because that was a good team. I mean, it was like, I think Agüero was on that team. Aymar. I mean, it was just a really good team. So I would love to watch that team again, but I don't see any teams that are going today that get me excited to be like, ooh, I want to watch that. I'd much rather watch the women's national team destroy somebody 16-0, which is not soccer anyways, but I'd rather watch that because you get some nice goals than watch the Borefest that's going to be the Olympics, because the players don't get enough time to train with each other, and that's one of the other things that I think is the issue, that we're seeing the low level, or maybe the boringness of both major tournaments this summer. Also, the Copa America hasn't been one of the greatest. Now, it's been a little bit more entertaining than the Euro Cup, but it hasn't been a very entertaining tournament. I mean, nobody really thought Venezuela was going to go anywhere. Some of the teams that have gone, have done well in the past, like a Chile, was eliminated in the group stages. The U.S. was eliminated in the group stages.
Well, Paraguay making it was crazy. Right.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Look, Paraguay gets out in the group stage in Copa, but Paraguay's going to the Olympics. So again, it's been a weird summer of soccer. Not the most entertaining, but I'm glad we've had all this soccer this summer. But look, I want to ask you, and maybe I'm not on the right path here, but Phil Neville tweeted out something regarding this, and he was saying, about the level of play. He was saying a little bit about how it has to do with the schedule, and the players in Europe are playing 2, 3, 4 tournaments, and they play a lot of schedules and a lot of time, and they're just simply are just gassed out for the tournament. I think that's crap, dude. These guys are in their 20s, in their 30s. Yeah, they're playing a lot of tournaments and a lot of games, but if you're going to be playing in the summer with your national team, maybe you should have a conversation with your coach and have some minutes management or something. You're an adult and stuff. So to say that they play too many games, I think is just a poor excuse to me for why the level of play is so low. I don't think that's the right thing.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the season ended what, the first week of May, more or less. Like they all had just about a month off before these tournaments got started, unless you played deep into Champions League final for like Jude Bellingham, for example, or something like that. But it ends about May. I could be off a little bit, but I think that they.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm trying to look for that tweet because I thought it was super interesting, and I got into it with some folks about that. And I just thought it was interesting that he out of his on his own came out to say, that was it. But again, you kind of you said it, Daddy. They had a year off or a month off to kind of recharge
The majority
their stuff, get together with their team, unless they play deep into the Champions League or the Euro, the Euro League final, which was towards the end of May. But other than that, everybody was done with their leagues by the first or second week of May, so they at least had 2-3 weeks to do something. Again, I don't think that's really it. Why it is, I think that's just excuses for the players in Europe. I understand why, why he would come out and defend them. But again, I don't think that's the case.
Shout out to Peaches. Appreciate the super slam. It's coming home, quote unquote, is more of a meme at this point, and most English fans don't really take it seriously. It's just because you are supporting your country. Look, I look. If I was English, I think I'd say it also, just because it's like a fun saying, I guess. But like Solana said, it's never really been there, if you count it just for the fact that they created the sport. So, but they did create it, so I guess that's something. So I have Spain and England in the final. Spain beating England. What do you think, Solana?
I don't know, man. Spain to me has probably looked the best of all the teams in the tournament. I thought the three favorites to me during the entire tournament, especially after the first game when I was able to watch at least everybody play once, were Spain, Germany, and France. To me, those were the three favorites. It's a shame that Spain has to play France in a semifinal and not a final, because to me that's the final.
And they had to play Germany.
They did. It seems very, very similar to to what Uruguay is going to have to go through. I mean, they're going through the
gauntlet.
Exactly, they're going through the proverbial gauntlet with having to play those
Brazil,
two teams.
Colombia.
If they win, if Spain wins, they would have beat Germany, they would have beat France, and they would have possibly beaten, if it's like you said, England. Three top teams in Europe, at least in the eyes of the fans, not necessarily my eyes. I don't think England should be in the top, but again, that would be great, man. I think Spain would deserve it. Now, the interesting thing is they're missing a lot of players that, and you said it about England. The names of the players in England. A lot of these Spanish players, there's a lot that people don't know who they are. They don't have
Brazil. Oh, Spanish. Go ahead.
Spain. That's what I'm saying. A lot of the Spanish players, a lot of folks, unless you follow Spain, you're not gonna. Some of the players are new. You have Cucurella back there. He's just getting his reps in. He wasn't playing with them before that I can remember. And they don't have a traditional 9 either. I don't think Alvaro Morata has been on his game. But they found a way to get to the semifinal, and I think it's been behind excellent defensive play and great goalkeeper play that they've had from Unai Simon. So, look, I think Spain has it all in their court to beat France. France hasn't looked that great this tournament. Mbappe hasn't looked that great since he's announced that he's going to Madrid. I think he's already focused on that.
So that injury he took to the nose, I think, really affected him. I mean, it's got to be tough. Look, say what you want, but breathing with a messed up nose, running up and down the pitch for 90 minutes can't be easy.
No, absolutely not. But at which point do you start to say he now becomes detrimental to the team instead of adding to the team because he cannot breathe? At what point do you and I guess you have to play him because he's Mbappe, but is he really helping the team as much as he is, or would somebody else who doesn't have a mask on be able to give France a little bit more? Because they just seem off, man. All tournament they seem off. They just don't seem like the France that played in the World Cup, like the France that won the World Cup 5 years ago. They don't seem like that team.
No, and I was surprised that N'Golo Kante is still playing on that team. Like, how old is he by this point? It's probably very hypocritical because I say, why criticize players that are playing in the MLS? But like, he went to Saudi Arabia. I completely forgot about that guy until I saw him playing in this tournament. So I was really surprised to see him out there.
Yeah, I think he plays for Al Ittihad with Benzema.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was with Neymar. Well, I don't know. Who knows? I don't even know how to watch that league. So, but I was surprised to see that he's still out there. All right. So I have Spain winning it all over England. You said that you think Spain over the Netherlands?
Yeah, I think Spain's going to win it all, man.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Spain versus Netherlands. Yeah, I think Netherlands for some reason is going to beat England. Maybe that's just my heart talking, but
all right.
I don't know.
Let's jump over to Copa America, and I'm going to transition this way. I have enjoyed watching Copa America more than the Euros, but the one thing that I appreciate from the Euros over the Copa America is the fact that they get to play those extra 30 minutes before they go into penalty kicks. I really hate the whole you play 90 minutes and a team could hypothetically lock down and try to play for that tie and then go to penalties where it's a toss-up. And I hate that, and I hate that that's the way Copa America is doing it. I like that the Euros are going and playing those extra 30 minutes before they go to penalties. What do you think of the fact that they are going straight to penalties?
I think it takes away. I agree with you. I don't love it. It gives teams that are I don't want to say worse, but it gives the lesser teams a greater chance of moving on during the tournament by playing five in the back, maybe getting a cheap goal and being able to tie and going through. So it's
Look
not
what happened
great.
with Argentina and Ecuador.
100%. Well, but Ecuador was knocking on the door all game. But they got that, they got that goal at the end, and in the 80-something minute, and boom, right to penalty. So yeah, it does suck.
Tradition, but I don't like that tradition.
No, but I don't think it is tradition because they used to play. They used to play the extra time before. So this is something that's new in the last few tournaments, if I'm not mistaken. What I do think is that it allows. I mean, you're playing 90 minutes. If you're going to play an extra 30, that's a lot, man. And again, you want to go back to what our ex-boy Phil Neville's saying, they're playing too many minutes. Well, then, again, I think that's going to help the tournament, especially in the later stages, because you're not getting guys playing 120 minutes, twice a week. These guys are playing 90 and going to PKs, and they'll be rested for the next game. So I think that's helped a little bit the level of play that we've seen in the later stages here versus the Euro Cup, where the level of play kind of goes down, especially in that second half of the extra time.
They really play it safe.
There's no soccer being played in there.
No.
They should just play 2 minutes, and the referee should just look at both captains and say, like, are you guys gonna play, or should we just go to PKs? Like, can we just agree to disagree?
That's a good point.
Because it's just so boring. It's just so boring that last 15 minutes because they're both sitting back and literally waiting for one person to make a mistake. And if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But most of the games went to PKs.
Well, I was just about to say that. Lucho said that he doesn't like it. And, I mean, that's a great point that you brought up. And I'm trying to think back. And I believe every single game that I watched go to extra time all ended up in PKs anyway. So they could have just gotten to that result, period. But it's time to get Solana riled up. Here, Worldwide Steve said it's the only reason Uruguay advanced. Now, I do think that this did help Uruguay in the aspect that they went down to 10 men and they had to survive for 10 to 15 minutes instead of surviving for a full 45 with the extra 30 minutes added on. And in those aspects, it does work out for some teams, because I do think that if you have to play 45 minutes a man down, that there might have been a possibility that maybe Brazil does win that game.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. But you can say the same thing about Argentina and Ecuador. I think if you give Argentina and Ecuador 10 more minutes, Ecuador would have beat Argentina. They were knocking on the door. The last 10 minutes, they were literally in front of Argentina's goal, and Argentina could not do anything. So it could work in any way. Am I gonna fight that comment? Fight against that comment? No, I agree. I was loving.
For sure.
I was talking about it with my brother-in-law through watching the game, and I was like, thank God we're going straight to penalties, because if not, we probably would have lost. They were, Brazil was knocking, and we were down a man. And what Bielsa did was he took out Darwin, our only forward, and basically packed it in and said, "Okay, beat me, score on me, I dare you." And they couldn't. Now, Uruguay doesn't go down a man, and it's a different story. Like, you go to extra time, and I think Uruguay can, still had a chance, but I'm not arguing that. It definitely benefited us, but it also benefited some other teams as well. So, I mean, look at England, bro. England was losing, and they got to go in, the 97th minute or whatever, and they ended up winning in PKs. I don't know, man. It's
Worldwide Steve saying the World Cup extra time was fire, and it was. That Argentina-France game in extra time, that was wild. And that's where
both teams
really
went out to play. That's what you want to see, right?
Oh, it was the final. You had to. They weren't playing it safe. They were going out to win. That was an awesome final. Is that, in your opinion, the best World Cup game you've ever watched? Because for me, it was. And it's probably the fact that it was a final, probably to me, it adds to it because of the drama. The fact that this is the game. For me, it was the best World Cup game I've ever watched.
No. For me, the best World Cup game I've ever watched was, and this is going to be weird for you, but it was a 3-3 draw, Uruguay-Senegal, in the, if I'm not mistaken, the 98 World Cup. I think it was we were knocked out. Uruguay went down 3-0. And I was like, this is bad. We're out, whatever. And they ended up coming back and tying 3-3. And we missed a goal in the last 2 minutes. I remember it was a Chengue Morales. He missed a goal, a header, no goalie, no nothing. He makes it, we advance, and he missed. So while it was a sad game for me, it was an awesome game because they were down 3-0. It was basically Diego Forlan's introduction into international football. I remember he scored a banger in that game, and to me, that was one of my favorite games just because it was a high scoring line. They were down and we were eliminated, but it was a fun game. But yeah, that Argentina-France game, watching as a neutral was definitely fun. If you were Argentinian or French, it probably was, those 30 minutes are probably the worst 30 minutes of your life because it was back and forth. But as a neutral, it was a great game. It just wasn't probably the best game I've ever watched.
That a little off topic, I guess, and for anybody saying that wasn't, I asked him what his favorite memory or favorite game watching. So I figured it would be Uruguay game. That was the only time in my life that I've rooted for Argentina was the 2022 World Cup, because I refuse to root for Argentina. I'm Colombian, so I refuse to root for them. But I was convinced, and I could probably find the clip because I was saying it on the show because we were recording back then. I was convinced that if they won the World Cup, Messi was coming to Miami. And of course, Fabricio killed me when he started saying that wasn't what's happening and that he was going back to Barcelona. But I remember it felt dirty. But I was rooting for Argentina because I was convinced, like, if they win it and Messi completes the World Cup championship, he's coming to Miami. And but yeah, I just randomly remembered that was the only time I ever rooted for Argentina. Never again.
I've never rooted for Argentina. I think one time in my life. So my best friend growing up since we were 3 years old is Argentinian. His parents are like my second parents. And I remember I went to watch an Argentina-Brazil game back in the day. This is when like Simeone played. I mean, this is when it was like a really badass rivalry. I was a young kid, so I wore an Argentina jersey and I went to go watch the game at a restaurant with them. And back when you couldn't watch the games at home, you had to go to a restaurant and pay like $20 or $30 to get in and watch the games. That's how you used to do it back in the day. Probably last time I wore a jersey that wasn't Uruguay. I can't believe I did it. I look back on that day and I'm like, I'm ashamed that I wore another team's jersey. But yeah.
Oh no, I've never worn the jersey. And
but I will never root for another team. Like I just can't. And people always ask me. I do it. It's the same with basketball for me. Like if the Heat are out of the playoffs, like I don't really watch the playoffs anymore. Like I'll watch the finals, a couple games because my team's out. Like I really don't care. And I'm kind of like that with Uruguay.
I'm like that with most sports also. Once my teams are out, like I just don't feel it. Like if I'm at home and there's like a big final, maybe I'll watch it, but it's hard. And Mikhail says, since when do we have something against Colombia? You don't. But Colombians are tired of getting their ass kicked by Argentina. So we don't like you guys. The people, you guys, if you're Argentinian, nothing against you. But the football team, I'm sorry. We don't like you because you beat us consistently. I mean, Colombia is, I don't think that we are like Bolivia level. But, I mean, let's just be clear. There's 3 top teams in South America. It's Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. And that's it. So Colombia doesn't like or root for any of them. But mainly Argentina and Brazil.
The only country that roots for another country is Venezuela. Venezuela roots for, like, Venezuelans are Brazilians because Venezuela was never good at soccer. Now, all of a sudden, they're getting better and their fan base is starting to grow. But historically, I remember, and I worked at a Venezuelan bank, so I know when it was World Cup time, they were bringing out, La Vino Tinto wasn't going in the World Cup. They were sitting 10th, dead last in the standings. They were bringing out their yellow Brazilian shirt. The same thing with our good old friends, the Cubans. All of a sudden, the Cubans, they're not good at soccer, but they're all Spanish. Holy shit, I did not know. So if that's the way it is, like, shit, I can root for like 30 different teams. My grandfather was Irish. I can go for Ireland. My grandma was Austrian. I should go for Austria. Like, bro, I'm in the motherland. I mean, I should go for Spain. My last name is from Spain. My other grandma, her last name is from France. Bro, I'm all over the place. I could have 9 national teams.
Well, Cuba, I believe that Spain is the only country that they can go ahead and get a visa to go visit now. So, I mean, I could see why they have an allegiance with them. But before we get into the Copa America finals, one quick question. I did see you go in at tactical manager because you said that he likes both the United States and Brazil. Now, he's Brazilian American. I root for the United States and Colombia also because I root for the country that I'm in. So you refuse to root for the USA?
Yeah, I will not. I will not root for, like, USA could play anybody else, and I will not. Like, I will not root for them. I won't wear a USA jersey because I don't feel it. I don't feel it. I just don't. I don't feel like I think the United States soccer is an absolute laughingstock. Like back in '94, I could say I felt it a little bit more. I was younger, maybe even '98, maybe 2002. I remember watching 2002 when I was working at a mailboxes, etc. If you guys don't know what that is, now they're UPS stores. But I was working at one of those stores, and I remember going out and watching the USA Germany game in the back of the store with my boss, and we did a little grill out there. It was like 8 a.m, dude. That's when I could watch them, when they had huevos, when they tried.
But ever hypothetically, let's say they get Jurgen Klopp, and then we finally get
they could win the World Cup, and I would not root for them. I'd probably be more upset that USA won the World Cup than if Argentina won the World Cup.
Why? What the heck?
Because Argentina has the players and they deserve it. USA just annoys the shit out of me. They stink, but
what if they don't stink anymore and they grow? Because look, I'm sorry, this country is huge.
Yeah, but USA and England, they're the same. They're the same. It's always coming home. It's always coming home, but
but the USA never says that. No, USA never says that.
But USA has been saying they own CONCACAF. They're great. Dude, they play Mexico, Bahamas, Cuba, Guatemala. They play those teams. You can't claim that you're good when the teams you're playing they play one team that's ranked in the top 100 in FIFA probably. You can't say you're good. Get out of here.
Okay,
Get out of here.
That's fine. Okay, so they're not good. But what I'm saying is that this team will get better because this is a huge country. And as the youth gets more involved in the sport, we're going to get more talent because the size of the country alone.
If that were the case, then they should have not gotten kicked out of the Copa America in their own home,
But
as the host
that's
country.
now. I'm saying in the
I
next
think they're
10
getting
years.
worse. Well,
In the next 10 years.
and I saw the Battered MLS fan account tweet out that in the next 10 years, the MLS is going to be one of the best leagues because of look, I do think if the league gets better, I think the national team will end up getting better because you'll end up producing more youth. Yes, I do agree there. But I think that the team, a lot of folks want to compare like the 94 team to the 2024 team, and that's been a big topic of conversation. And dude, that 94 team would destroy the 2024 team. 2024 team are a bunch of tissues. The 94 team had huevos. That's the big difference. And going back in 2002 and the 98, like those teams, they didn't have the skill and the talent that these players have today, but they had the desire, they had the fire within them to do whatever they had to do to win or to get to that next level. These guys, this golden generation, just seems disinterested. Like and one of the big things I think is the coach. And I tweeted about it. I said,
"Oh yeah, the coach is horrible." And look, I
but it's not so much him. It's they're even talking about, okay, if they can't get Jurgen Klopp, which again I think he's the perfect hire, or somebody like him would be a perfect hire. If they can't get him, then the next guy is Cherundolo. You got to think bigger than MLS. If you are USSF, if you are US Soccer, you got to think bigger. You can't have players playing for Carlo Ancelotti, for some of these insane great minds, for Pep Guardiola. You can't have players playing for these great minds in Europe, and then they come back to get coached by Greg Berhalter, who was fired from the second division in Sweden and never really did much in the MLS. You can't do that. You need coaches who are used to coaching the style that these guys are playing day in and day out in Europe.
I 100% agree with you. That's a great point. And I will tell you that I've seen some people say, "Oh no, we need an American manager or coach because no foreign coach has ever won the World Cup." And I think to myself, why the hell are you worried about winning a World Cup? Like, we can't even get out of the group stage in Copa America. Like, don't worry about a foreigner winning the World Cup.
Worry with Bolivia. Who hasn't won a game? Who hasn't won a game since when?
But it's 1997. But I will tell you, USA doesn't get eliminated in the groups if they don't get that red card. Timothy Weah doesn't punch that guy in the back of the head. I think that they beat Panama and they advance. I'm glad that they did in the long run because I think that Greg Berhalter finally is going to get the boot. But I think that they would have made it out. But to the point where everybody's like, "Oh, but a foreigner's never won the World Cup." Please stop. Don't get so ahead of yourself. Don't think about winning World Cups. Think about just being competitive and growing as a nation as far as soccer goes. Because if you get a world-class coach, you might improve and you can talk World Cup maybe in another 10 years. But right now, don't worry about the fact that a foreigner's never won the World Cup. Right now, you just need to improve because you just got grouped at home in Copa America with a group that consisted of Panama and Bolivia. And that is embarrassing.
100%. And I love the comment that Worldwide Steve says. He says, Uruguay is more similar to England than USA. Look at us. We won the first. We are the original championships. Yeah, look at us. We won the first. We also won 15 Copa Americas.
Yes. Copa Americas.
Which is a little bit tougher
than
the Nations Cup. A little bit tougher than the Gold Cup.
Yeah, sure.
No, absolutely not. No. The World Cup is definitely the premier tournament. I'm not.
You're not Mbappe.
I'm not nuts, bro. Let's be real.
You're not Mbappe.
I have some crazy takes. I agree with that, but I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not an absolute nut job. I understand that the World Cup is the premier tournament, but yeah, they weren't. But that's not my fault. And I'll tell you this. Had Uruguay
the thing
not,
is, you kill the U.S. for beating the teams in front of them. Look, Uruguay just beat the team in front of them.
Yeah, but that was in the 1920s. Like what do you want me to do, bro? What do you, I mean? I will tell you this: had Uruguay not boycotted the 1934 and 38 Olympics, Uruguay would have 6 stars. No doubt.
Look, and I think that we'd be looking at the U.S. even worse if they didn't beat all those CONCACAF teams and win all those stupid nation and gold cups. Because if they weren't winning that, we'd be like, wow, they're really bad. At least they're winning that, I guess.
Yeah,
all right, so go ahead.
It's like,
Yeah,
isn't it a little cringy? Isn't it a little cringy that like the only team USA celebrates against
Mexico?
really is Mexico? And it's
Yeah.
like, come on, like, I don't know. It's kind of cringy.
I get it. I understand where you're coming from in that aspect. All right, so let's get into it. Copa America semifinals. We got Argentina, Canada, and we got Colombia, Uruguay. So let's start with the first game, which is tonight. We have Argentina and Canada. How are you feeling about Argentina, Canada in the aspect of Canada pulling off an upset? They obviously played them well the first game, right? Argentina scored late, I believe, and they won. Was it 1-0? Am I misremembering that? Because I believe that was how that game ended. I might be misremembering it though. But I do remember that I thought Canada played them well, and I'm checking right now. No, they beat them 2-0. They beat them 2-0. But I do remember thinking that Canada played them well, and I was surprised because Jesse Marsch has only been with that team for, at this point, like a month. And I felt like they had him playing pretty well. And they scored the second goal in the 88th minute, but it was 1-0 for most of the second half. I mean, I don't expect Canada to win, but I do think that they'll put up a decent game tonight. What do you think about the Copa America and Argentina-Canada game? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think Canada showed in the inaugural game that they can compete. They've shown game over game in the tournament that they can compete with some of South America's teams. Not the best yet because they haven't been tested there. But look, they played Chile, they played Peru, they got through the group stage. They played Venezuela.
I thought that Chile would make it.
Correct. We both said Chile, and Canada surprised both of us. Again, was I extremely surprised? No, because I know that the type of players that they have on their team, and they have very, very good players. They had a good coach. Yes, but they had a good coach before that as well, and then he left, and I'm not surprised because I think Jesse Marsch is not a world-class coach, but I think he is a good coach. And I think his philosophy and his tactics go hand in hand with the type of players that Canada has. And I think if you give Jesse Marsch a second game, I think he's a good enough coach to make the right substitutions and the right changes in his tactics to get Argentina to go crazy. So I think the key in today's game is going to be the first 25 minutes. If Argentina can't settle in and get into their game in the first 25 minutes, I think Canada has a really big shot of getting some sort of counterattack or getting a set piece goal or something like that and surprising them. But of course, Argentina is the heavy favorite. I'm going to say Argentina is going to win. I'm not going to put a score up there because again, I think this is a toss up for me. I don't think it's going to be 3-0, 4-0 like a lot of folks say. I think it's going to be a lot closer. So obviously my heart wants to say Canada, but my brain's going to say Argentina.
For those of you that obviously watch us with when we talk Inter Miami and we talk so much about the Red Bulls and how annoying they are, that whole Red Bull style of play started with Jesse Marsch a little over 10 years ago. That high press, constantly putting pressure. Now, the first time they played against Argentina, they didn't really do it, and I don't think that they've done it too much this tournament, but that's because Jesse Marsch is still – he just got there a month ago. Is there a chance we see it tonight? It's possible. I think that the fact that teams aren't really sure what to expect from Canada has played to their favor. And I think it'll be a decent game, but I don't expect Canada to win. I think Argentina is in the final already, and we'll see. But you have to play the games. And look, if you play this game 100 times, Canada probably wins once, twice, 3 times. Who knows? But one of those times could be tonight. I doubt it, but it's not impossible. Good teams lose to bad teams, and I don't want to say bad teams in Canada, but. And yeah. I don't believe Jamal Miller is starting for Canada.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to continue going with Bombito and the other center back who have been fantastic. Bombito, a Colorado Rapids player, How about that, man? Colorado Rapids. How crazy, dude? Why doesn't Inter Miami trade for that guy? He's been solid, bro. I like him. I was gonna say on the game tonight, I would be, as an Inter Miami fan, for all of you guys watching, I'd be more interested in Messi getting through the game healthy than Argentina winning, because it's been rumored that he's hurt, and that he's been playing hurt, and he doesn't want to come out. And if that's the case, we talked about it on the Spanish show last night. You rest him for Leagues Cup. We'll get into that next week on the Tuesday show, because I know we're running up against a lot of time here. But,
yeah. This show went a lot later than we're supposed to.
It's been good, man. Cafecito with the Battered Herons has been a hit, bro. I'm not going to lie. We might have to, by the way, if you haven't, Danny, show that mug again. If you haven't, hit up the Battered Fans website. Man, they got some awesome stuff. Not only mugs, they got the T-shirts, the Luis Suarez one. I wear that one all the time. But get on there, man. Get yourself
I've been
some
trying
merch,
to. I want to make the little Cuban coffee cups. So for these episodes, that's what I wanted to make. And did I tell you that I already got my shirt ready to go?
Yeah, it's up there. Yes, yes.
Actually, I didn't put it on sale. I figured nobody would want to buy that, but I'm ready to go.
I bet you if you put it on sale and you give it like Gressel's 24, right? Give it like 24 cents off if you buy it or something like that. I guarantee you, it'll sell out, no doubt.
Yeah.
Folks want that, baby. Folks want that.
All right, so here we go. Colombia, Uruguay. It sucks because a game like this, I wish it was in the final, but we're playing in the semifinals. Uruguay already played basically a final against Brazil, and we're going into it. How are you feeling about this game coming up? I know you're going to be there. You're flying out there later today. How are you feeling about this game between Colombia and Uruguay? And I am 100% sure that stadium is going to be 60 to 70% Colombians.
No doubt, no doubt. So I spoke to some folks that are going to the game, some Uruguay media. They expect a big turnout. There's about 35,000 Colombians that live in Charlotte.
Hold on. Wayne County. I didn't say is the final. I said it's like a final.
No. He said it should be the final. And I agree. It should be the final.
I'm sorry. I thought he put LOL at the end. It's in my opinion. I thought he was laughing because I said that. Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize, Wayne County.
We both agree. I've said it. To me, Colombia's been the best team in the tournament so far in terms of style of play, what we've seen them do. And James has been the best player in the tournament so far. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Now,
I think most people, yeah.
Again, Colombia hasn't really played a lot of tough opponents other than Brazil. Uruguay as well. I'm not sugarcoating it. Uruguay hasn't played anybody. Brazil. I mean, they played Bolivia, Panama, whatever, and USA gave them a bit of a shock in that third group game. And they've only played Brazil, and it hasn't been the best Brazil. And it's not like we played great. I thought we dominated the game. That red card, killed us. But look, man, tomorrow's game is gonna be nuts. I'm already nervous, Danny. My stomach is already hurting. I'm already thinking about the game. I'm anxious.
I'm on the same one.
So I know, I gotta drive. I'm flying into Raleigh tonight. I gotta drive tomorrow from Raleigh to Charlotte.
How far is that? Like 2-3 hours?
Nah, hour and 45 minutes. Not that bad.
Okay.
But I know that while I'm driving, I'm gonna be having to like drink something. Or I don't know. I need something. Can you give me like a remedy?
Don't drink and drive
for anxiety. No, I need like anxiety pills or something because I'm not drinking and driving. But I'm saying I'm gonna be so nervous driving to Charlotte. It's definitely the biggest game I've ever attended in my life. I'll probably be very emotional during the entire game. So we'll see what happens. I don't want to give a prediction just because. Obviously, everybody knows I want Uruguay to win,
right?
But I think it's gonna be a great game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it turns into a slugfest similar to what Uruguay Brazil was.
Colombia Brazil was along the same lines also,
right? It's gonna be a game like that because both of these teams, I think they're set up similar. They've got some veterans and a lot of youth. And both of their coaches have them playing at very, very, very high levels. The tactics that both are playing, the high press is crazy.
And they both progress the ball. They're not playing it back. Like they're moving forward. It's going to be a really entertaining game. And I think that, like you said, Colombia hasn't played necessarily the toughest competition, much like a lot of the tournament, right? Because there were a couple top teams and just everybody else. I think it's because Colombia has looked so dominating against the inferior competition because they beat Costa Rica 3-0, Bolivia 3-0. They just beat Panama 5-0. So, I mean, they haven't just beat these teams. They've showed that they're a better team. And I think that's the only reason because they haven't played necessarily great competition either. They 1-1 against Brazil, even though they should have won. Borja should have had that open goal right in front of the net, and they should have won that game 2-1. But whatever, it ended in a draw. But it is going to be an insane game. Lerma's back for Colombia, which is going to help defensively. And James has just looked like, like he always looks for Colombia. Like he unfortunately can't do it for club teams, but when it comes to wearing that yellow shirt, I mean, it's just another world. And with the home support, I think that might help also because it's feeling like a home game for every Colombia match. And I think that Colombia has a great chance. The way they've played and they've gone undefeated for 27 games in a row now, which ties the record for the national team. I think it's amazing, and I think that hopefully they take that momentum and ride it through. I really hope it doesn't go to penalty kicks though.
I don't either. But look, the way that the tournament has been going, I wouldn't be surprised that it does. I will leave you with one tidbit though. You said how Colombia has been undefeated in the last couple of years, 20-something matches. Uruguay has ended 2 streaks of those kinds in the last 12 months. They hadn't beat Brazil in over 20 years, and they beat them in the eliminatorias, and now we beat them in Copa America. And they hadn't beaten Argentina in I don't know how many years as well, and we were able to beat them 2-1 in La Bombonera or 2-0 in eliminatorias as well. So Uruguay has broken 2 of those streaks within the last year. I'm not trying to get your hopes down or anything. All I'm saying is, we break streaks. So look, I'm looking forward to the game. I know you are. We'll be I won't give you the normal treatment that I give my other friends when we play each other. We don't talk a lot of shit back to each other. So we can chat during and after the game, but I won't be talking to my other Colombian friends for a couple weeks.
Well, it's my mother's birthday tomorrow. That's the only reason I didn't even look into going to the Charlotte. So I'll probably be more invested with her and my father watching the game. So I might not be texting back and forth, but it's definitely going to be interesting. I love the way Colombia plays. I love the fact that James on the right and Luis Diaz on the left. It's kind of like when we say about Messi with Inter Miami, he's positionless. They just flow around each other. Like you can't mark somebody with one of your fullbacks because they're just James and Lucho are constantly just free flowing all over the place. With Cordova in the middle. I think it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be hard to choose a winner. Obviously, I hope and I think that Colombia can win, but I don't know. But I will tell you, just to end it on this, ticket prices for the final. My brother and I sat down and we were looking into it because obviously you can already buy tickets to the final. To buy 2 tickets, and I'm talking section like 324, row like 23. Oh, no. Oh, Chris might have taken it off. He might have taken it off. Oh, is it here? There it is.
Yeah.
$2,957 for 2 tickets. And again, that is section 324, and it was like row 23. Like insane. $3,000 for 2 tickets in basically the nosebleed section.
Well, all the Argentinians are buying up all the tickets because they think that they're going to beat Canada. Now, the funny thing would be if Canada wins, and then all the Argentinians that bought those tickets are going to sell them for like $200, $300. And then that would make more sense. I think it's fair to say, to pay $400-$500 for a final. Look, the tickets for the Champions League final where I sat, in the lower bowl were $500 a piece. That's what they were selling for, 500 euros. So I would say that's the right price for a final, but $1,000, bro, that's nuts.
$1,500 for nosebleeds. It's absolutely wild, and it sucks because, I mean, I know Uruguay, Brazil, and Argentina; those are big clubs. Big teams. that have been to finals, they've won things in the past. Colombia necessarily hasn't. 2001, that's all we got. So
but this
to
could
know
be
that
Messi's last major tournament. That's the only reason why these tickets are going for that much.
You know what?
That's the only reason.
That's true. That's another thing. But as a Colombian, it kills me because
You want to go see your team.
when will I see Colombia in a final again? I don't know if that happens anytime soon, and much less in my backyard. And to think that I won't be able to make it really, really bothers me, especially in a stadium of 80,000 people for the tickets to be that expensive. It's wild. But like you said, possibly Messi's last major tournament, even though I think he's going to play in the World Cup. I think he's in the World Cup.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I think that should just about do it for Cafecito with the Herons. Any final words there, Solana?
No, sir. Just good luck to you. Good luck to my fellow Colombian brethren. And may the best team win. And hopefully we get a good game tonight. That's it. That's all I want, man. A good game and no fights tomorrow at tomorrow's game.
If Canada wins tonight,
I'm going drinking.
Are you looking at the Colombia-Uruguay game more like a final? Because, you shouldn't, because they just beat Argentina. So obviously they can beat a big team. But all of a sudden you feel a lot better, right? Because you're like, oof. I feel a lot better about my chances.
Is it weird that I almost rather prefer to play Argentina than Canada?
That is weird. I think I prefer it in the aspect of I want to play against the best, the world champions. So in that aspect, but as far as an easier competition, I think Canada.
I guess, but if they beat Argentina and they're riding the wave, sometimes in these short tournaments, when the team is riding the wave, they're a tough team to beat. Argentina hasn't looked that great. They're kind of just getting through. They're a little bit older. They're a little bit slower. They're not as hungry. They've already won the Copa America, the last one. Yeah, they want to repeat, but maybe it's not, as hungry as a team as Canada, who's coming in with these young guns, and they're just going to play you a little bit different. That's all I'm saying. I'm just putting a little smoke into our fire here, so that our lovely followers there can talk some shit to me.
If Canada were to win the Copa America, that would look so much worse on the U.S. men's national team.
Literally, deep down, I'm kind of rooting for Canada. As weird as it sounds, like just deep. My coach, my coach Beard intellect here is rooting for Canada. And if they win, I will send the Discord a selfie of me having pints at a bar tonight. Pints of Guinness. Pints in Charlotte. Yeah, well, in Raleigh. Yeah, I'll find some bar near Duke or something like that. I think I'm close to Durham, so I'll go to one of those schools or whatever.
Wade County said people don't give Colombia credit for the 2001 Copa. It's because Argentina didn't play in it. That's why they don't give them credit. But they won it.
They won.
All right. If you are listening on audio, we appreciate you listening all the way to the end. Please leave us 5 stars, comment, review, all that other good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. And as always, for those of you that joined us for Cafecito in the morning, we appreciate you hanging out with us for the last hour and 23 minutes. Jesus, we went long today. But we will not be on tomorrow. Obviously, we got some games to be watching, and I'll be celebrating my mother's birthday. So no show tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday night. So we appreciate you hanging out with us, and enjoy the games. And until the next one, have a good one.
Like and subscribe.